It's Marianne, Valiant Technologies Training Manager. We're going to talk a little bit about Zoom best practices. With so many people working remotely, Zoom is a good application for having remote meetings, conference calls, things like that. And the good news is it has a free version, so, no risk to try it out. We've had a bunch of people sign up for this, and because we've been getting a couple of tickets that include troubleshooting or questions on it, we're going to do some best practices so you guys can use Zoom as best possible. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to talk about is how to get Zoom. So again, I said that there is a free version. There's also a paid version, so you can look at the differences on their website. But if you want to just try it out, let's look at the free version. If you go to zoom.us/download or Google Zoom and click your way to the download, you can download the application to your computer and install. Make sure you do this before your first meeting because it does take a little time. And actually, before you meet, anytime you want to open Zoom a little bit early, just to make sure that all the updates are applied. Okay, so I just signed up for Zoom. This is the free version that I'm just signing up for, and I'm going to show you how to make it work. So if you click Start Meeting Down, it's going to automatically send you a download for you to install. So when it comes, it'll be down here at the bottom. You can click it, and it's going to start installing. Now I'm going to cut this so you can see it when it's done. And hey, that didn't take time that long at all. So when I want to join with computer audio. You can test your speaker and microphone here. And done. You can copy this URL, send it to someone, and they'll be able to join your conference. So the install process was really fast and easy. Okay, now that you've downloaded and installed the application, you can start a meeting at any time or schedule a meeting. But let's talk best practices for when you're on the call, how to make Zoom work best for you. So if you are on a call and you're not talking, it's a good idea to mute your mic. Everyone's got some background noise, even if there's some cars behind me or my dog just saw the mailman. So if someone else is doing the primary talking, it's a good idea to mute your mic. It's a good idea to use a headset to reduce background noise, especially one that has a mic out front. This really helps because there are so many background noises. If you just use your computer's audio, it's going to pick up everything because it's listening for everything, whereas the mic is pointed directly at my mouth and it's just trying to get what I'm saying. So that's a great way to help other people not have to hear all the noise that's going on in your house or whatever area you're working in. It's a good idea to position yourself to get better lighting. It is in the middle of the day, but I do have my overhead light on just to give me a little bit more people can actually see me. It's also make sure you close any blinds. I do recommend not having a backlit background. There's not much I can do, so I just close my blinds for the window. But if I had it open, it'd be much harder to see my face. And then lastly, sign in early for if it's your first time, but I recommend doing it every time because sometimes Zoom will need to run updates. So if you have a meeting at 10 o'clock and you're signing in right at 10 o'clock, you may have to run the updates and install updates, and then you're a little bit late to your meeting. So always make sure you sign in just a little bit early, make sure that everything is correct. You can troubleshoot if you're having trouble hearing anything. So it's just good practice to get there. If you want to be there on time, be there a little bit early. Let's also talk about some of the features in Zoom that are really neat to try. So screen sharing is super helpful because when you're having a meeting with people, you can show them the same screen and you can be working together. I use this a lot for trainings or demos. If I was doing this live, I could just share my screen with you. You could see the slides, and then you could see me demoing how to download Zoom and things like that. So that one's really easy. You can just click the screen share button on Zoom. There's also a whiteboard button that's usually found inside of screen share, and that's for things like brainstorming. You can actually write on the whiteboard and write down your ideas, draw diagrams, things like that. And then it's really easy to save that whiteboard for later. You can record the meeting, which can be really helpful for you to refer back to. There's a bunch others if you want to check them out. I actually just saw this morning one of my Facebook friends posted, I love that Zoom meeting lets me look younger and brighter. There's a button that says clean up my face. It's basically like a filter, an Instagram or a Snapchat filter, which makes you look a little nicer. So check out all the other features too. let's talk a little bit more about the quality of your video and how to sort of make that the best it can be. So for the best performance, you're going to want to look at your connection speed. If you can, make sure you connect to your home network with a network cable instead of just using the Wi-Fi. Generally, this will get you the fastest speeds that are available. So just get an Ethernet cable, and if you can hardwire in, plug it into your computer, plug that into the modem. When you're having a Zoom call, make sure you limit the bandwidth intensive services. Those are things like streaming video, like Netflix. If you're doing VPN, you shouldn't be connected to both at the same time because the quality of both is going to suffer. So we actually talked about that in our VPN best practices video. So check that out if you use VPN. Yeah, you don't want to be doing those at the same time. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you do connect with RDP or remote desktop protocol, you don't want to connect to Zoom within the RDP. Do it from your local computer. You want to close out of RDP and then it'll actually work a lot better. So just press the X at the top of RDP, and that's really important. A lot of the questions that we're getting in have to do with not having sound, either sound that you're hearing or other people can't hear you. So here's a couple of things to try just to troubleshoot it on your own, see if you can fix it real quick. First, make sure your computer's not muted. If you go to the bottom tray in your computer, you can see if your computer's muted or not. There'll be an X if it is muted. Click on the sound icon and it'll come up. In Zoom, you may need to change the audio input. A lot of times it'll default to phone audio because a lot of people call in for their audio. You want it to use the computer audio to make use of the headset that you're now using because I recommended it. You can also find out what audio input and output your computer is prioritizing. So if I plug this in, my computer should automatically know to use my headset, but it might not. If you are also connected to a Bluetooth headset, it might be confused about which one to deliver the audio to. Double check that. You can do that in the taskbar and figure out what audio input and output your computer is prioritizing and what it's planning to use. Then you can just click on the one that you want to use. And then last, usually when I'm troubleshooting things, I tell people reboot computer is the first thing to do. But if you're trying to get into a meeting, these other ones tend to be a lot faster. But if you have to, sometimes just rebooting your computer will fix it. It'll actually usually take care of the things like what the default audio input is and things like that. Or it could just be a glitch. You're using so many things that it's not sure what to prioritize, and maybe you're having some memory leakage. So reboot your computer and relaunch the application. You can try one first and then do the other if it doesn't work. But generally, that's a good troubleshooting tip to do for anything that may be going wrong. Reboot your computer. It'll take a few seconds, but if you signed in 5 minutes early, like I said, you'll be fine. So I hope that helps if you're transitioning to Zoom or you've been using it a long time, but you want to make sure that your calls are going smoothly. Just try a couple of those tips, try those troubleshooting methods. Check out our website, thevaliantway.com. We have a lot more tips about remote work. We've actually got a whole section that's just for remote work that we brought up now for the COVID-19 era of working from home. So check it out, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye.